Hi, I'm Wendy Perkins. I'm going to talk about standardized tests today. Um, Apologize up front for my appearance. I am just in the middle of the flu. The whole house has had it, and now mom finally got it. But here we go. Standardized testing, how it connected to this chapter, what we learned, and what I already knew. Um, I was familiar with the Stanford Binet Intelligence Test and the Wechsler Preschool and Primary Scale Intelligence Test from previous classes in educational psychology, and also the Vineland Adaptive Behavior Scales. Um, from a social and emotional development class, and Bailey scales and infant development from my early childhood development class. Um, Excuse me. Um, I'm familiar. I was familiar with standardized tests, kind of the purpose, how they work, and their essential administration, and the point of them as far as everyone is taking the same test. How it extended my knowledge. Well, first of all, the sheer volume and number of the tests, I was really surprised, especially in the preschool area. While I know school age children, especially my children, and within the school system, there's varying tests. I was really just kind of blown away at the number, and especially some of them seem to be a bit redundant. But anyway, so first the sheer volume, and then secondly, kind of the gee, I should have known that. The obvious about the administration of the test, the fact that to administer any kind of diagnostics or screening um, uh, for development kind of tests for infants or preschoolers is really very difficult. Their attention spans kind of all over the place. They sleep when they want to sleep. Their moods are whatever they are that particular day, and that can very much affect the outcome. It can make interpreting the results troublesome. Do you really have the correct results? And also, especially with infants, their development is so fast. Really, what you're testing for week to week, the interpretation of what you've tested for, the results for what you got on June 1st is invalid by June 21st. So you know, generally speaking, just by how fast they develop, not all things would be invalid. Anyway, that's a issue with administering tests like that. Some tests, some issues can be addressed with tests like that, like say like the ages and stages questionnaires test addresses kind of some of those things because it relies on talking, the parent kind of observing the child's development and behavior and then questioning the parent about what they've observed, versus a test like the Denver 2, which has to have either the pediatrician or an education professional or a psychological professional administer the test. That can be, beyond being time consuming for the parent to, take the child and have the child, tested professionally. Um, you know, it, Sometimes, what is going on for that child that day in that moment during that test may be different than the way the child is on a general day to day, just day to day. And sometimes, so I would think that a test like the ages and stages would be more accurate and probably easier. Like I said, as you're getting the answers from the parent. How else it extended my knowledge on the differences, and some of the tests were really very general, like the Vineland that I mentioned earlier, that really just measures kind of daily activity, how kids cope and deal with day to day tasks. And some are much more specific, like for language and vocabulary, the Peabody picture vocabulary test, the fourth edition, and that measures specifically to, and I quote, standard American English. Um, so in some, like the Kaufman assessments battery for children, second edition, is really a total comprehensive and covers everything. Um, and I think that those kind of tests, even like the Kaufman, are probably the most beneficial in getting a general understanding of the child's development in all areas. Um, so now what challenges me is kind of understanding the need for so many different tests. So many for language, like the pre-LAS, I get that one. I understand that you would need to understand, does this child ready to come out of a English as a language learner class and go into a general ed class. I get that you do need certain tests for very, very specific things, but it seemed that, at a certain point, how do you kind of decide exactly what you are looking for as an educator or even as a school district? How do you decide what to administer in your class, especially given with special needs? How do you know do you give everything and see what hits? Do you use the was it the Burroughs Institute of Mental Measurements and go pour through that and get the details and try to figure out what's really going on, to try to pinpoint what test you want for what you're looking for. Do you suspect a certain disability, or are you giving a blanket thing and in the very beginning to see, are they showing signs of a little bit of anything? So that's what's challenging me, is that are so many standardized tests necessary, and how do you really kind of pick who picks, and how do you pick exactly what's going to get you what you need, the results that you're going to be able to use in a positive way that's beneficial to the child and beneficial to the educator. So okay, that is my reflection on assessments and standardized tests. Thank you.